everyone, and welcome back to the Homestead Knitting Podcast. My name's Danielle, and this is my channel where I talk about my yarn, crochet, and knitting related goodness. It's been a while since I've been able to sit down to podcast, so I have a bunch of things to show off today. I have a bunch of finished projects. It is officially March 4th today, and I've actually set some goals for March, and I thought I would just mention them quickly before I get into any of the yarn related things. I also have quite a bit of progress on projects. I feel like it's a bit, I don't know. I can let you be the judge of that. Anyways, so for my goals for March, I want to finish at least one big project. So I'm hoping to finish one of the sweaters I'm working on for March. I want at least one of them done. We're getting close to the halfway mark on most of them, if not farther, so I'm very excited. I'm potentially going to cast on a pair of socks for my boyfriend. I do have the yarn already in my yarn cabinet. I just have to basically cast them on. I'm thinking I'm gonna knit them 2 at a time, and I think I just want to do a basic rib pattern. I also have at least another hat I want to make for my boyfriend, so there's also the potential to cast on a hat instead of socks. I want to finish off at least one more project before I cast on a new project, but we will see. I'm not really sure if I'm going to stick to that goal or I will just cast on a hat or something, because it would be a quickly, like a pretty quick project. I mean, oh my gosh, I'm having a hard time today. I also want to organize my yarn cabinet because I feel like it is progressively getting messier and messier. Just with me finishing up projects, I've kind of just been putting yarn in the cabinet, but it has not been put in its proper place per se. It definitely needs some organizing, and I need to make a list of all the projects that I have yarn for that I do want to make, and then I also want to potentially do a video on my knit or crochet tips, because I've seen a lot of people doing videos on them, but I feel like I don't agree with a lot of the tips that they're sharing because I feel like it's bad advice. And the only reason I say it's bad advice is because when I was newer at knitting and crocheting, I would have watched a lot of these, taken the advice, and then down the road regretted it. And just the more I've learned about the craft, I feel like I've learned better methods of like weaving in my ends, how to increase stitches, and those sorts of things. And I feel like a lot of people try to cut corners when it comes to weaving in your ends, and I would highly suggest you do not do that. It is just not a very good idea. Anyways, what do I want to start with? Okay, so project number 1. This is sorry, I was having to think about what the name of this hat is. The exact pattern that I used is the Look Out Winter Now hat. I believe it's a free download on Ravelry, and it is based on the 1898 hat. I knit this one out of DK weight yarn, and I used 4.5mm needles, and I just did magic loop for the crown decreases. So this hat, you start on one side here, and you knit a garter stitch band, and it has this beautiful little I-cord edge, has these fun little ear flaps, and then when you get to the end, the hat gives you the option of either working flat over 2 needles, or you can pick up your stitches in the round. I picked mine up in the round, and it creates this beautiful seamless look. You have this wonderful ear shaping and this really nice I-cord edge, which I really love how it looks. And the yarn I used for this is Joy DK by Loops and Threads, and you get 273 yards per ball. And the colorway I used is charcoal, and this is what I have left for my yarn. So I have at least I'd say at least another hat in this, so that was a really good buy for the yarn. I made one, and I can easily make a twin because this hat is for my boyfriend, and I know he really likes this style because I knit him one other hat in this. I knit him another hat in this pattern, and he really enjoyed it, and the fit was really great for his head, so I could potentially knit him another one in case he wears one out or he loses it. So that is my first finished object. My second finished object is Hubbles the Squid by the Projectarian. I don't think I've shown this off yet. So it has 8 little tentacles, and then it has 2 longer tentacles, and in the pattern the Projectarian says that she put little pom-poms on her longer tentacles in the middle here, but I did not. And this pattern was really great. It is a free pattern on Ravelry by the Projectarian. I used a 4mm hook for the main body of the squid, as well as all the tentacles here. And then for the eyes, I did a 3.5mm hook, and I did some slip stitch detailing with the little charcoal gray eyes, and then just some white for my stash. The main body of the squid I made out of this sort of like baby soft colored yarn. I picked it up at the thrift store. To me it feels like a DK weight yarn. It didn't come with a tag. I think it's just acrylic yarn. I have a massive ball of it, so I thought if I did not like Hubbles the Squid, if the pattern didn't work out for me or something, because this is the first ever crocheted amigurumi I have ever made, that would be okay. And it was very fun. You have this unique shaping for the head, and then you go into the body. You have this little slip stitch detailing here to kind of give it some definition. And this is all, the body is all made in one piece. Besides the tentacles, you make them all separate, but then you attach them to the body, and then you close up the bottom of your little squid here. It was a really great pattern if you've never made amigurumi before, or if you're newer to crochet. There were a bunch of great tips and tricks in the pattern, as well as just teaching you a bunch of the skills needed to make more complicated amigurumis. So I really enjoyed this one. This is the first one I made. Free pattern. I will have it linked down below in case you're interested. This is what it looked like. It even gave you tips about stuffing your squid so it looks more realistic to a real squid, and I thought this was very fun. So that is my second finished object. Alright, my third finished object. I made this little bunny, and I didn't put the eyes on 100%. I noticed after I should have moved it down like just slightly, just the way I pierced the stitch, but oh well, I think it's still cute. Anyways, I followed a free pattern here on YouTube. This is by Rose and Lily Amigurumi. It even has a little bunny tail. For this project, I used a 6mm hook. The original designer used plush chenille, or like plush velvet yarn. I do not enjoy working with those yarns, so I decided to use my Burnett Premium Tweeds, held double, and I used the colorway Aran Tweed, and it is 87% acrylic, 3% viscose. It's a number 4 weight yarn. You get 360 yards per ball, and for my whole bunny, this is how much I have left, so I even have a little bit more left over to do something else. So it's definitely, like I do have small hands, so it's slightly larger than my hand, so it's a good size if you have a child or a grandchild, or maybe like a little niece or a nephew that would really like this. I think that'd make a great little toy for a child, and it's also very like plush and durable, so it'd be very fun. So yeah, this is my second project, and I just held the yarn double to make it more of a bulky weight yarn, so it's a little bit thicker and more durable than just the worsted weight because the ears are a little bit thicker here. It's a little bit stiffer, helps hold it up a bit. And I really enjoyed this project. It was very fun. Probably a couple days worth of crocheting maybe. I know I've been told I crochet faster than other people, so I don't know, maybe like under a week you could make a little bunny like this. So this is by Rose and Lily Amigurumi, and this is a free tutorial here on YouTube. Alright, the next project I made was this little teddy bear, and I kept all the limbs loose so you could easily prop up the bear when it's sitting. For this one I used a 4mm hook, and I used Bernat Premium Tweeds in the colorway Black Tweed, and I have a bunch left. I did not hold the yarn double for this one. This was also a free pattern on YouTube, however I would not overly recommend it. I didn't think it was super clear in spots. I also find some of the ears were too big for the head. It just kind of looked awkward, and I actually ripped out 3 or 4 rounds on each ear. Excuse me. I did the same thing with the nose. I ripped out a bunch of rounds on it because it just looked super big and awkward. And I had to modify the feet because the way they were doing the increases, it was not lining up for me. So I modified the feet a bit. And just the way the arms were written in the pattern, I didn't like it very much because it gave it shaping, but just the pattern wasn't written very clear. So that's why I'm not going to recommend the pattern. However, if you want to make something very similar to this, you could easily just Google, not Google, but type into YouTube, crochet teddy bear, and there's a bunch of options that'll pop up that look very similar to this one. So you can choose the one you like best, and it's pretty easy to customize if you want to change something. You can see my arms don't even line up properly. They're not the same shape because of the way the pattern was written. I ended up making 2 different ones because the pattern was a little bit confusing. So anyways, this is my third finished object, and I definitely made this in a weekend. I probably crocheted a little bit more than I should have to make this in a weekend, but that's okay. And it is very large, like at least 2 of my hands put together, so this would be a great little toy for someone. Mine just sits on the shelf, it's just for decoration, but that's what I have for my third finished object. And for my fourth finished object, it is another amigurumi, and this is probably the biggest one I've ever made. I used a 3.5mm hook, and I also used a 4mm hook. Yes, so one 3.5 hook and a 4mm hook, and here's what I made. This is Orbit the Dragon, so it's not perfect. You can see the one nostril's not in the same spot as the other one, but that's okay. Not all the scales are 100% perfect down the back, but I'm okay with it. This one is a free pattern as well on Ravelry, and it's by the Projectarian. And the way this one's uploaded to Ravelry is it was originally uploaded as a crochet along, so it comes in 4 parts. This one also comes with a tips and tricks page, and it teaches you a bunch about how to get proper shaping for the little scales. It taught me a lot about shaping to get these curved horns here. The ears were pretty fun to make. I have some little toes that use puff stitches to make the little toes. So it was very fun. I learned a lot of skills by making this dinosaur. It took me about a week or so to crochet all the pieces for him, and then it took me about another week or so of just slowly seaming this together because there's a lot of pinning and then trying to line it up together. This one will be a gift for somebody I know, but their birthday will be in a few months, so it's all ready to go. And for the yarn I used for this one, the main body, so this dark purple here, I used Bernat Premium, and you get 360 yards, and I only have a little ball left. And I used the color purple. For the scales here, I used Bernat Premium in the colorway Grand Purple. For the belly covering, the little toe beans, I used Burnett Premium in the colorway Baby Lilac. And then for the cheeks here, I used a little bit of Karen Simply Soft that I have in my stash in the colorway Neon Coral. And then for the white here, it is just a white or like a cream I have in my stash. And then this gray is just like a charcoal gray of worsted weight I also just have in my stash. I don't have a label for it, but it's either Burnett Premium or Red Heart Super Saver. So just to be clear, if you do want to make your own Orbit the Dragon, be patient with yourself. There's somewhere between 20 and 25 pieces for this dragon that you have to individually make and seam together, because the head is one piece, then the body, and then the tail. All the scales get individually sewn on. All of the horns here are individually sewn on. The belly covering gets sewn on after. Same with the eyes, the cheeks, and the legs. The pattern's really great. It came with a lot of, pictures. It had its own tips and tricks page. And it was really well written. I didn't struggle with anything at all. It included a lot of pictures for everything, especially when it came to seaming, because the pattern has you seam it in a way so that it can actually sit flat and stand up on its own. So the legs don't move too much at all. And then it also told you how to place the tail so it looked a little bit more seamless into the body. You can tell a little bit on one side over the other that it's not completely seamless, but I think it's okay. This was the I think this was the third ever amigurumi project I finished. It was very ambitious for me. It is labeled, I think it's labeled as an intermediate crochet pattern. And I can crochet intermediate patterns, if not more difficult ones. However, I've never crocheted amigurumi, and there was a lot of shaping, there's a lot of placement, and there's just a lot to learn with it. So it was definitely a bit of a learning curve for me. However, I really enjoyed the process, and I do plan on making some more in the future. They were quite fun for something different versus just garments, which is what I usually make. So yeah, that's what I have for finished objects. And I am quickly going to clean up my finished objects and put the yarn away, and then I will grab all my works in progress, and I will grab the yarn that goes along with them because I have a lot going on, so I'll be right back. Alright, so I cleaned up my projects and I grabbed my current works in progress that I've made progress on that I'm more than happy to show off. So, first things first, I finally decided I was going to pick up my Slip Stravaganza blanket. I frogged the row I messed up on, and I did start section number 3 finally. I'm actually really excited to see how this is going to look with the blanket as a whole. Here's what I have going on. And for this blanket, I'm using 5.5mm needles, and I'm using Knit Picks Wool of the Andes Sport, and this is 100% Peruvian wool. For the main color, I'm using Oyster Heather. For my contrast number 1, I'm using Pumpkin. Contrast 2 is Hollyberry, and then contrast 3 is Chestnut. And I'm almost out of the Hollyberry, and I did run out yesterday of the oyster color, so I do have to wind some yarn, so I did pull it out, and I will be winding up the yarn today. But I finally picked this up again, and I honestly missed working on this. Yesterday I probably sat for about 4 hours just tinking back that one row, then doing the increased row again, and just really enjoying the experience of knitting on it. So it was really nice, and I can't wait to actually get this off the needles and just get this finished. I'm very excited to use it once it's done. So hopefully by the end of the year I will have a full blanket knit, and this will be my first ever full knit blanket. The other project I've been working on is the sweater I am designing. And for this one, I'm using a 4.5 millimeter hook. And I feel like I've made pretty decent progress on it. So I finished the front panels, and here's what I have. So I've made this all in one piece, and when I got to the armpits, I split the front and the back, and I worked each panel separate. So it's all attached. All I have to do is seam up the arms, and then I can pick up stitches around the armpits. I did some really deep armholes because I want to make sure that there's going to be enough room. So I will probably be doing some decreases for this. What was I going to say? I do have to wind up some more yarn for this, and I also have a bunch of ends to weave in. So you can see I have a few here, but I did weave in as many as I could. I just have these little tails, but that's okay because I will be putting like a border on this. So this project is at least halfway, I'd say halfway done. I have 2 sleeves left to do, and then just some ribbing around the whole thing, and I might actually end up leaving this as a cardigan. I don't know if I'm going to end up turning it into a sweater or not, but this is my own design using a 4.5 millimeter hook, and the yarn I'm using is Snuggly Wuggly by Loops and Threads, and you get 446 yards per ball, and this colorway is Soft Cream. And the other color I'm using for my sweater here, this color changing one, is by the Brown Demon, and the yarn name is Diana, and this is color 95. And this is an 80% acrylic, 20% wool, and Snuggly Wuggly is 100% acrylic. So this is what it looks like in the ball. You may have seen Premier Puzzle Baby. It looks very similar to this, with this marled look, and it just softly flows from one color to the other. And you can see that in my sweater as well, how it softly flows from one color to the other because of the marled. And the way I tried to seamlessly keep the color changes as close as possible was I would work my little block of color, then I would go over to the next section, work the block of color, and then I would go over to the other section and work the block of color. Just to try to get the colors to blend in as best as I could. It didn't work 100%, but I think it's kind of fun the way it looks. So I'm very excited. This is almost done, and the last project I actually cast on this week, last week? I can't even remember. What day did we cast on? I want to say it was February 22nd or February 24th. The Young Adult Knitters Club I am a part of decided that we were going to all cast on cardigans. So we didn't set any rules. Everybody could choose whichever cardigan pattern they wanted and whichever yarn they wanted. We all just decided that we were going to knit cardigans together, and I thought that was really fun because I've actually never knit or crocheted a cardigan and finished it. So I decided to do something different, which I've never done before, and I did decide I was going to design something for myself. So I made 2 front panels. This is what I have going on. So I have some pearls, and then I just did some 1x1 ribbing, and I love the way this looks. It will need blocking, and I'm hoping it'll be a slight bit of an oversized look and feel to it. So this is what the cardigan will look like. I am working on the back panel. I just started it this morning. I think I'm around 10 rows or so in, and you can see it on the needle here. So this is the back panel, and the 2 front panels are already finished. I'm doing 84 rows per panel, and I'm using 8mm needles, and I'm using the leftover yarn I've got from Ice Yarns, and this is their Ethno Alpaca, and this yarn is 25% alpaca, 50% merino wool, and 25% acrylic. They say this is a number 5 bulky weight yarn. You get about 75 meters per ball, and they recommend a US 8 to 10 a US 8 to 10 knitting needle. Seems really small. Anyways, and this comes in 50-gram balls. Yeah, 50 grams. So I only had a certain number of these yellowy golden ones left. Doesn't tell me which color on the ball. So I'm not sure if I'm going to have enough for sleeves, so I may end up with a color block look. However, I do have the same yarn in this dark green color left, and I think it will look really good if I do a color block look with some green sleeves, or maybe like a little bit of striping with the yellow and the green, depending on how much yarn I have, because I think I only had about 6 or so full balls of the yellow, and then I had some scrap, and then I have 4 maybe balls of the green, maybe 5, I don't know. I think I have 3 or 4 full ones and then a few scraps. So I do have quite a bit of the yarn in total, just not of the same color, and of course I'm trying to use whatever yarn I have in my stash. So I do not want to buy yarn. So we'll see what this turns out. I don't really know. I'm also planning on doing the button band and the ribbing for the sleeves, like the cuffs at least for the sleeves, in this green yarn anyways, so if I don't have enough yellow, it's going to work out for me just fine. So yeah, that's what I've been up to, and if I have anything else, I will insert some fun videos of my chickens being chickens, just doing whatever they were doing that I happen to just film. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed any of my projects, feel free to let me know. I love hearing from any of you. So yeah, until next time, I'll catch you later. Hello, babies. Hello. Hey.